Hi, I'm Dr. Kayumi, and this is the presentation from Healing Cancer for the 8th of June, 2022. And my topic for today is perfectionism and immune function. Now, before I get into that, let me first give the background for what we're doing here. So, the first thing is that it takes energy to fight cancer. We all make cancer cells every day. Your body is replacing 50 to 70 billion cells a day as part of its constant renewal of worn out tissues. And that's how our body is able to keep going for so many years, is we keep replacing ourselves over and over and over. Now, with that, you do anything 50 to 70 billion times a day, you're going to make some mistakes. So we all do. We all make cancer cells every day. That's completely normal. However, if our immune system is balanced and has enough energy, it targets and eliminates cancer cells as quickly as they are made. So the Healing Cancer Support Program that I run, which is there's a group healing call, but of course I also do private sessions and they synergize with each other. But the overall goal of both my private sessions or healing cancer, the support calls, is about strengthening immune function. And so each week I talk about either maybe a dietary intervention that can help to strengthen the immune system, or ideas around sleep and sleep timing, or exercise, or other lifestyle advice. These are practical things that can actually help to strengthen our immune system. But you cannot separate the immune system from our emotional state. In fact, if you look physiologically at all of the places where the body produces the actual molecules of emotion, the special neuropeptides that correspond to our emotional states, there's a huge overlap with the immune system, both in terms of where these chemicals are made and the tissues that are really react to these chemicals. So this is something that's inseparable, is that our mental emotional state has a direct effect on immune function. And of course, there's a whole body of research called psychoneuroimmunology that studies this relationship. We've known about this for a long time. So based on my background as an acupuncture physician and my 30 plus years of treating people and 30,000 clients, I talk about some of the mental emotional aspects that go along with weakened immune function so that we can highlight those. And so, that's the overall idea of these lectures. Now, here's one of the fundamental premises is about how perfectionism affects all this, is that striving wastes energy. So striving for perfection instead of good enough wastes energy. It takes energy away from immune function, and it also distorts the functioning of the immune system. So there's a common energy imbalance that gives rise both to perfectionism and reduces immune efficiency. And that's really what my topic is for this week. Now, the overall thing that I'm going to be talking about is the correlation of this pattern of perfectionism and an imbalance between the liver meridian and the acupuncture meridian for the liver and the spleen and stomach meridians. And the liver meridian and the spleen meridian supervise immune function. So in terms of what we think of as immune function from a Western perspective, energetically, that's mostly down to the health and balance of the energy in the liver meridian and the spleen meridian. So when we are trying to be perfect, we are worrying too much. We're worrying about whether or not it's good enough. And this weakens the spleen energy. And and we are also failing to keep our eye on our path of growth, which is a liver weakness. And so the liver's job, energetically and spiritually in our life, is to keep our eye on what we feel our path is or our destiny, and make sure that we're always moving forward on that path, and to be wary of things that slow us down on our path. And too much worry makes you be still. So hence perfectionism. And I'm going to make the claim here. I'll explain it a little bit more as I go through the lecture, but that is an imbalance between the liver and spleen meridians, and hence it imbalances the immune system. All right, so with that, I'm going to cut to the actual lecture that I gave before doing the balancing session. Hi, welcome. This is Dr. Kaimi, and this is Healing Cancer for the 8th of June, 2022. And here's what I was motivated to talk about today. And I think it really ties into our overall theme of healing cancer. Is I want to talk about perfectionism. Now, that shows up in a lot of different ways. And, the longer I work with people, the more I realize this is a problem with many more people than would self-identify as being a perfectionist. Now, before I even get into different kinds of perfectionism, I want to start out by tying it together with what it is that we're trying to work on here, which is the immune system. We want our immune system to be as strong as possible. That's the goal. So with that, we need to have enough vitality. So that means we need our digestion to be strong, and we need to not be wasting energy. We need to not be wasting life force on things we don't really need to worry about. Okay, so that's like this. The most basic thing of looking at strengthening immune function is, the first question is there enough energy to run the immune system? And then, if there is that energy being given to the immune system? Is the immune system being supervised? So I'm just trying to take this in stages here. So with that, in Chinese medicine, the two organ meridians that have the greatest role in regulating immune function are the spleen and the liver. So the spleen meridian and the liver meridian. And hence, in Acunex, when we balance the immune system, we have a balancing called defense for that, because the immune system defends you from problems, things that are bad for you. We're essentially balancing the liver and the spleen, but on all levels, like not just the physical, but also the emotional, mental, and spiritual levels. And we're balancing, the energy system at all those levels. So how does that, before I go too far into that, let me now take it back to the perfectionism, which, as I said, what I want to talk about. Perfectionism goes alongside an energy imbalance between the liver and the spleen, and the liver and the stomach. So the spleen and the stomach really work closely together to regulate the digestion. Now, we don't think of the spleen in Western medicine being associated with digestion. The stomach makes sense for digestion, but how does the spleen factor in? But they are paired organs. They're both part of earth element. And then the spleen also regulates the pancreas, but it also regulates the enteric nervous system. So it regulates digestive activity very, very strongly in that way. Um, so the spleen is associated with digestion when you look at the meridian. So there's, like I said, perfectionism really always involves an imbalance in those two energy circuits, in those two meridians. Now, here's a way to think about that. The spleen and the stomach generate worry. Now, the reason they generate worry is that you're supposed to worry the nutrition out of your food. When you worry about something, you turn it over and over in your mind, looking at it from all angles. Well, that's what you do with your food. You turn it over and over in your stomach and mix it up with acid so that it breaks down. And then you put it into the small intestine. And there you add, other digestive juices with enzymes and so on, and some more liquid. And you turn it over and over and over and over and over in the small intestine so that first you turn it into a soup, and then you slosh that soup back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, so that it's all splashing up against the inner wall of the small intestine and all the little villi which hang down from there to increase the surface area so that you can absorb nutrition. So the energy to do all that turning over is worry. The spleen generates that energy. And the biggest reason it generates that energy is to turn the food over in your stomach and intestines. And the spleen also gives worry energy to the immune system, because the immune system is supposed to be searching around the whole body, every nook and cranny, asking the question, does that belong? Does that belong? Does that belong? Does that belong? And it's looking at cells, because everybody makes a few bad cells every day. If your immune system catches them like right away, they don't have a chance to multiply and turn into a tumor. Also, we always have some exposure to microbes that don't belong. We have as many microbes as do belong as we do cells. So it's not like it's supposed to attack every microbe, but it's supposed to be on the lookout, going, is that a friendly microbe? Is that on our team? Or is that like a stranger? Is that a foreigner? Is that somebody we need to attack, basically? And it needs to worry about keeping your body clean from invasion. So you have this worry energy generated by the spleen that's supposed to be used for your immune function, to give energy to the immune system to be diligent at exploring the whole body, having a careful look at all the cells to make sure none of them have gone funky. That's a medical term, right? So, and looking to see if there's any bacteria or viruses or fungi that just aren't team players, basically, and that aren't synergistic with us and that we need to get rid of. So that's worry energy. Well, where does the emotion of worry come in? If we worry about things around us, if we worry about things in our life, we're spending worry energy outside of our body. And we don't make enough worry energy to digest our food, run our immune system, and to worry about the planet. So that's why an imbalance between the liver and the spleen can um, can affect worry. Now, the role that the liver plays, the liver and the gallbladder together, they're supposed to be like saying, hey, are we moving forward in life? Right? Are we are we on our mission? Are we growing? Are we are we actually growing or just staying put? Are we treading water kind of thing? Or are we moving forward? And because the liver's job is to make sure that we keep growing throughout life. So, where does the perfectionism come in? If there's things in your life that you're worrying about too much, not only are you taking energy away from your immune system because you're disrupting the spleen energy and you're disrupting the liver energy, you're you're creating stagnation in your immune system. So so what does that look like and how does that relate to worry? Well, how does that relate to perfectionism? Perfectionism is this idea that nothing's good enough unless it's perfect. And so it means instead of being able to glance at something and saying, good enough, it means you're overlooking at it, you're overthinking it, you're trying to decide, is it really good enough? Could it be better? Could I be better? And when you indulge in that, basically what's supposed to happen is the liver and the gallbladder generate anger, and the anger is supposed to arise when you feel like you're not moving forward in your life. If you're feeling stuck, then you're supposed to get angry and go, gosh darn it, I feel stuck. What needs to change? What do I need to do different? What do I need to say different? Maybe I need to set a boundary, where I'm not going to do something for somebody else because it's costing me my life force, right? So, but we're supposed to get angry. So if the spleen is off over worrying about anything in your life being perfect, then then you have two issues going on. One, you're wasting life force like crazy because not only should that life force was earmarked to go get nutrition and energy and vitality out of your food, and now you're spending it on something that doesn't necessarily really matter. But because of that, you're weakening your digestion. And so now you're 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 not just spending that life force for no gain, you're actually weakening your digestion. And if you keep doing it, your digestion gets weaker and weaker, and you could be eating great food, but you're not getting all the energy out of it. You're not getting all of the vitality out of it and all the nutrients out of it. Well, the other thing that means is if this worry goes on without the liver and the gallbladder getting impatient. Hey, enough already. What do you keep? Why were you? It's good enough. I'm bored. I feel like I'm stuck. You know, it's good enough. Let's just move on, right? So, well, it means that your gallbladder and your liver have been too weak to assert themselves to keep you true to your growth. And so then that's why there's always this pattern of an imbalance between the liver and the spleen and stomach if there's perfectionism, because that's the dynamic that regulates the perfectionism. It's this it's this commitment to always growing that puts a lid on excess worry and excess thinking. That's the control mechanism. That's like the check and balance within the energy systems of the body and how it shows up psychologically. So um, now, like I said, a lot of people don't necessarily relate to being a perfectionist because, you know, they aren't like, because they don't have OCD when they're cleaning the house, right? So, and, you know, anything short of OCD means I'm not a perfectionist, right? So, well, okay, I mean, that's progress. Um, but maybe, maybe you're trying to be the perfect friend or the perfect partner, the perfect husband, or the perfect wife. You know that you're trying to be perfect in a relationship. Um, and so, you know, it could be things like that. It could be not like so much in an outward achievement that we're trying to be perfect, but that we're trying to show up perfectly in some aspect of our life. Um, Yeah, so there's a lot of things that can go into this, um, but essentially, you know, any kind of thoughts or beliefs that impair our ability to recognize when something's good enough and to have enough self-worth to both, you know, to honor our need to keep committed to our growth and to our path, and for our liver and gallbladder to get angry at our spleen when it's overthinking something, because the spleen needs supervision. Its job is to think. It's incapable of deciding what to think about. It just thinks. It requires the liver and gallbladder to regulate overthinking, and for the heart, which is really where our sense of self is, to tell the spleen what to think about. And and at a physical level, you know, this means worrying about your digestion, worrying about your immune system, but then stepping back up at a psychological level, that means being worth taking care of, putting your diet, your exercise, your bedtime, you know, all of those things as being a priority. Um, and and so ultimately, you know, when we talk about balancing the immune system, I always come back to the word integrity, which is the virtue of worry in Taoism, but it means to keep integral, right? Which is to take care of yourself well enough that you have that, well, A, nobody else has to take care of you because you are taking care of yourself, but B, then that you are honoring your need for growth. So, um, okay, so that is that's my thought for today. I'm going to go into the balancing. Um, Okay, so the preceding talk that you just listened to is part of a weekly healing webinar called Healing Cancer. Now, each week I talk about either some kind of lifestyle advice, you know, diet or exercise or sleep timing or other practical aspects that can help boost the immune system. Or I talk about a mindset aspect, you know, perhaps an emotional pattern or a belief, a common belief that I see that affects the immune system and so on. And, you know, to give some insight into that. Now, this is always followed by an Acunet healing session for the group. And so the Acunet healing system addresses all aspects of the body mind. It balances, you know, the physical aspects like the nervous system and the endocrines and so on, but also the energy systems like the acupuncture meridians and so on. Um, And but as well as that, it helps to shift our instinctive reactions emotionally to situations and helps us to actually be able to let go of limiting belief systems. So this really helps people to integrate and take on whatever immune boosting advice I've chosen to talk about that week. So this is always followed by that. Now, the healing session itself is only available to Healing Cancer members. All right, so now for more information on the Acunet healing system, go to www.acunet.com. And for more information on the Healing Cancer program, which includes both the weekly group healing sessions as well as private healing sessions for myself, then go to www.drkami.com/cancer-support/ and links in the description below, of course. Thank you for listening. I hope you found this useful. If you did, please like and subscribe. Thank you.